Okay, let's get on with the flowers and berries. And we'll start with the berries. So, I'm going to use my round brush and draw paint a pointed oval. I'll start here. Like I did the leaves, but squatter, not so elongated. And I'm going to take my liner, which always is hiding from me. Where are you, liner brush? I don't see it. Oh, here it is, right in front of me. And I'm going to pull out a stem. And then I'm going to take 3 little strokes. You know how there's those little, or maybe 4, those little weird things at the end of the berry sometimes. I don't know what they're called. But anyway, kind of nice to include them. And then I'm going to touch a little bit of, let's do a orangey color. Didn't show much because it's close to the color I started with. But it warms it up a little. It's already warm, but makes it even warmer. And I think that's kind of pretty. Okay. Let's do, what other color would a berry be? A berry would be maybe maroon. Oh, I got a bunch of cat hair on my brush. How could that possibly have happened? Might have something to do with the cat that's walking around on the table here. Got that one a little off there, so we'll correct it. So, I don't remember if I said this, but I'm often turning my paper so that I'm working in a direction that is going to work well for me, where I'm going to be able to pull the brush towards me for whatever stroke it is that I want to make. Really lighten that top up. And once again, I take my brush over the side here and just know that I'm wiping it off on a paper towel. And I'm going to do one more, but I think I'm going to make a little mixture of paint over here that's some pink, and between the pink and the maroon. Ooh, that's pretty. So as you can see, I am by no means an expert in watercolor, but it is fun to play with, and I really love the way you can get some color effects that I don't think I've been able to get in other ways. So there's a little cluster of berries. And actually I like this a lot, so maybe I might be using it in the repeat pattern. We'll see. Pulling some highlight off. And then I'm going to add a little bit of blue. Ooh, that turned out to be a lot of blue. Okay, what can I add to the other one? I can add a deeper, well, I already added the orange. And there's a little deeper color. Okay, oh, that's pretty. That's pretty, I like that. Let's jazz up the orange a little. Okay. All right. Single berries or large berry clusters. And I'm going to do a branch of berries. And I'm going to start with my liner brush. And I'm just going to paint some branched branches. Like so. Let's beef up the bottom of it a little bit. Okay. Now, with a small round brush, I'm going to pick a berry color. And I guess it'll vary. It'll vary from berry to berry. And I'm going to just draw a little circle. I'm leaving the center open. Whoop, gosh. I'll go to blue. Variation in color I think is always good, so I don't want all the berries to be exactly the same color. And then I'm going to put a little dot in the center. I'm going to try not to touch that circle, which is not easy because the circle's pretty small. And maybe on maybe I was going to say maybe for the blue I'll let it touch, but anyway. And then my final step with this little motif is going to be to add some little leaves. And often we'll see that a leaf, that a branch will come out on one side, but on the other side is a leaf. Like so. And so. And so. Let's see where else. And so. And let's have a kind of a heftier one here. Yeah, you can create a bigger leaf just by putting two strokes next to each other like I just did. And this kind of looks like there might be a leaf there and one on the other side. So you see how I'm using both the chisel and the flat edge of the brush. And let's put some pretty green in that dull green. Just a little at the base. Okay. I like that. I like that. And I'm thinking this is just an experiment, so we'll see. Might be, this is still a little wet. Might be fun to add some brown right at the base, like it's a shadow. Anyway, okay. Berries, 2 different kinds of berries. Both pretty easy to make. So now let's work on some flowers. And the first flower I'm gonna do is, let's see, where did it go? This little round petaled flower and the bud. And for that, I'm going to use my filbert flat brush with the rounded tip. I'm gonna load it up. Not too dark. And I'm going to paint C's. I'm going to start on the chisel edge, go to the flat, and come back to the chisel. Start on the chisel, go to the flat, come back on the chisel. Start on the chisel, go to the flat. Oh look, I have way too much water. Well, I don't want to say I have too much water. I have more water than I had before. Let's just put it that way. Chisel, flat, chisel, chisel, flat, chisel. And now I've got water in my brush, and I'm going to just run it around to allow the rest of the petal area to fill in with paint that's going to bleed from those C strokes. But I don't want it to bleed into the center, so I'm leaving the center dry. Now, you know, it's doing what watercolor does. There's a little, what do you call that, a bloom, I think? But I can touch more paint in if I want. Now for the bud, all I'm going to do for the bud is 3 of those strokes. 1, and then a half over here. And a half over here. Now, you may have noticed that I was kind of searching there for a good place to put my hand down the paper. Yes, I do put my hand on the paper, which maybe isn't so good. Well, it isn't so good because if you have paint on your hand and put it down on the paper, then you get kind of a mess. And the other thing is you might put your hand down in the wet paint, which would be a mess. But for some things, I mean, it would be very hard to make that stroke without anchoring my little finger. Anyway, you get the idea. Clear water. Okay, that came out pretty nice. Now, this has to dry before we do the next part, so I'm going to just leave it for the moment and go on to the next flower, which I don't know what I would call this. I call it a raggedy edge flower in the PDF. To me, it kind of reminds me of a cornflower. But I'm just using the round brush. Back to the round brush. Where are you? Here we are. Let's do blue. And I'm loading it up. And I'm going to start with the tip. And the tip is pointing to what the center of the flower is going to be. So I'm making a very short pull and then a blob. Very short pull, blob. And I'm not worried that they're uneven. That's what I want. I'm going to work them in a circle. It's fun to just mash your brush down and not really worry about it. Oh, I like that one. Okay. And that was easy. Now I'm just going to use the tip and pull a little circle around, see what we get without adding paint. And then if I have to add a little paint, I will. Because I just want to tie the bottoms of those petals together somehow. And that's it. That's it. Let's see how it looks in orange. Actually, let's try a smaller brush and see what it looks like in orange. So this was a 4. This is a 2. Touch, splat, not enough water. Touch, splat, cool. I think the brush is so new that maybe it's not loading totally. Touch, splat, let's go to another color. Touch, splat. It does, no matter what else you have to say about it, does have a watercolor look to it. I like that. I like that. It's nice and irregular. Gosh. Okay. Anyway. I'm wondering if these are dry. Not quite. Alright, so the next, and we're going to come back and finish those, but the next one is this rose. So for the rose, I'm going to start with a small round brush, and I'm going to paint a series of C's, overlapping C, or not overlapping, but you know, like interlocking, I guess you might say, C's. And this is for the center of the rose. And keep going for a while. Okay. Touch more paint in the center maybe. A little more there. And I can't tell you why I did that. I mean, why I chose where I was going to put it. Then I'm going to go back to my round brush. And I'm going to move the tip towards the center, paint some larger petals. And just kind of decide what you want the shape to be. Which is easier said than done, isn't it? How do I know what I want the shape to be? Well, just remember that the rose petals open. I think that's good. Okay, now we go back to the center with water. Kind of randomly add the water. And it's going to, as you can see, get rid of a lot of that white space. And then I'm going to put quite a bit of that dark pink back in the center. And maybe some down here. Making it look like these petals go behind, or that this edge goes under. There, that's a pretty good rose. Not perfect, but you know what is. And then if we want, we can go back to our flat brush. Which one do I want to use? The bigger one. And add some petals. Well, not petals. Leaves. Maybe one here. Like it's peeking out from underneath. There's my kitty cat. Maybe that's color's not so great. Brighten it up a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Maybe a little stem. Trying to figure out which way that's going. Okay, so I'm going to assume that that's coming out from the flower, which of course it really wouldn't be, but oh well. Okay, the rose. And let's see, let's see, which way would a stem come? A stem would come, now I should have a bigger liner brush for this, but a stem would come like that, probably. And we can give it little thorns. Anyway, a rose. Now, back to our roundish flower. I want to add some details. So I'm going to take my liner and nerve-wrackingly outline these petals. And you would think that if you really leaned into the paper with this brush, you would really be really well able to control where it's going. And actually, it's easier if you have a light touch. You know, one thing you can do with these little motifs is you can just create little cards, greeting cards from them. Put 3 little stripes in the center of the petals. You know, just make a little 3x4 piece of paper that you decorate with these flowers and leaves, and just glue it in the center of a card, and that's that. There you have it. And for this, for the bud, I'm going to outline the center petal and then make it look like the side petals are behind. And I'm noticing that on my flower, I pulled from the outside in, but this one I pulled from basically the inside of the flower out, and I think that works better. This piece is going to be hard because it's in an awkward place on the page in terms of where I would put my hand, but we got it. This one, this bud, is a little more open than the other one, so I can add a line or so to these outer petals. Then, now on my little trial piece, I put dots around the edge, outside edge of the petals, which is sort of cute. So let's do that. And then for the buds, the calyx is going to show. So we'll just paint that in. Let's see. And then a little water to soften that edge where it meets the petal. And a stem. Okay. Oh, and let's put some center action in this one that's open. But first, I don't like how this is a hard edge, so I can kind of scrub at it and it'll loosen up, or not loosen up, it'll so that edge will soften, and then I'm going to come back with tissue. I'm just trying to, I couldn't really get anything out of the center. Okay. A few dots in the center, different sizes. There you have it. Now this guy, she is so pale, this orangish flower. I think what I'm going to do is take my liner and grab up some more paint and give it some veins. That might help. Yeah, that's better, I think. Okay. So there it is. Now, as I'm looking at the rose, well, I shouldn't really fuss with it, but I'm thinking this edge here, sorry, I think I just put my head in the camera there. This edge could be softened, lightened. It's not going to pick up very well. There you have it. Okay, so flowers and berries. one more thing as I'm looking at it. And this is the thing, just keep looking at what you're doing and see what you want to change or add. Let's give her a little bright spot. And her. All right. So there you have it. Flowers, berries, leaves. We have several motifs that we can work with. I love the fern. I think the fern and these and that. I don't know. I like them all. Anyway, so have fun practicing that. Maybe, like I said, make a couple greeting cards if you want. Like this little piece here, I could add some leaves. Why don't I do that? Why not just do that? So let's put a stem that got kind of wiggly, and then one there. One there, another wiggly wobbly. And find my little square brush. And let's see here. Whoops. Cut it with maybe decal edge scissors. Glue it in the center of a little white card or colored card even. And you've got a sweet little greeting card that took you virtually no time at all. So have fun, play, experiment, maybe come up with your own motifs. Have fun, and we'll be back to create a repeat pattern the low-tech way. Okay, thanks. See you soon.